My man didn't ask questions. He traced you. I say it calmly, because calm is always more frightening than rage. You're not standing in front of me, yet I speak as if you can hear every breath I take, every pause between my words. Distance has never protected anyone from me. I don't need to see your face to know what fear looks like on you. I already know how your pulse betrays you when my name enters your thoughts. You should understand something very clearly. When I decide to reach you, the world itself starts moving in my favor. You thought silence would save you. You thought disappearing would rewrite the rules I live by. But I don't chase shadows. I command them. Every step you took thinking you were unseen only mapped your location more clearly for me. I didn't wonder why you ran. I didn't ask who helped you. I simply wanted to know where you were, because where you are is where I will eventually stand. That's not a promise made in anger. It's a certainty born from power. You belong to a truth you've been avoiding, not to chains, not to force, but to inevitability. You felt it the moment you chose me, even if you pretended otherwise. I don't need to raise my voice to remind you who I am. My control doesn't come from threats. It comes from the fact that nothing you do escapes my reach. Even now, while you convince yourself you're safe, my presence is already breathing down your spine. I speak to you like this because you listen, even when you pretend not to. You hear me in the quiet moments, when the night stretches too long and your courage thins out. You know I don't waste words. If I'm speaking, it's because the end of your running has already been written. You were never meant to be lost to me. You were meant to be found again and again until resistance feels pointless. This isn't obsession the way weak men understand it. This is possession shaped by patience. I let you go because I wanted to see how far you'd get without me. Not far enough, as it turns out. Every road curved back toward my shadow. Every door you trusted opened into my awareness. I didn't hurry because I enjoy watching certainty replace hope in someone's mind. You may think this darkness is cruelty, but you're wrong. This is devotion without softness, loyalty without mercy. I protect what is mine by knowing it completely. Your fears, your courage, your lies, and the quiet truth you never speak aloud. I don't need your agreement right now. Acceptance comes later, when you realize how small the world feels without my hand guiding it. So listen carefully wherever you are. I'm not asking you to return. I'm informing you that the distance between us no longer matters. You don't need to look over your shoulder. I'm not there yet, but you will feel me before you see me. And when that moment comes, you'll understand I never lost you. I was simply allowing you to remember who you belong to. I don't rush what is already inevitable. Time bends easily when I decide to wait, and I let it stretch around you like a tightening circle. You mistake my patience for absence, but I am never absent from what I claim. Even now, when you breathe a little easier, thinking days have passed without my voice, I am present in every choice you hesitate to make. You don't need to see me to feel how carefully I am watching, how precisely I am measuring them. The moment you finally understand escape was never an option. You learn to survive by trusting distance, by believing that if you went far enough, I would fade into memory. But I don't live in memories. I live in outcomes. Every plan you built without me carries my fingerprint, even if you refuse to see it. I allowed you the illusion of control because illusions teach better lessons than force. When they collapse, they leave nothing behind except truth, and truth has a way of humbling even the strongest will. I speak to you like this because I know you are listening in silence. You always did your bravest thinking alone. When no one could interrupt the honesty you hide from the world, you replay my words not because you fear them, but because a part of you recognizes them as familiar. I am not invading your thoughts. I am returning to a place where I have always been welcome, even if you never gave it a name. You wonder if I am angry. Anger is loud and careless, and I am neither. What I feel is far more controlled, far more dangerous. I don't destroy what matters to me. I reshape it until it fits the order I demand. You are not being punished. You are being corrected. There is a difference, and one day you will thank the discipline that steadied you when your own resolve failed. I know you tell yourself that loving someone like me means losing yourself. You're wrong. You lose yourself only when you fight what you already are. With me, there is no confusion, no half loyalty, no running in opposite directions. There is certainty, sharp and unwavering, the kind that strips fear down to its bones and leaves only purpose behind. That purpose has always pulled you back toward me, no matter how fiercely you resisted it. You don't have to answer me now. Silence doesn't offend me, it informs me. Every second you choose not to speak tells me exactly where your thoughts are drifting, exactly how close you are to surrendering the last piece of defiance you're holding on to. I don't need immediate obedience. I prefer understanding, because understanding lasts longer and cuts deeper. So stay where you are for now. Breathe, think, pretend this conversation is one-sided if it helps you sleep. Just remember this: I am not chasing you anymore. I am waiting for you to realize that the safest place you ever knew was never far away. It was always within my reach, and eventually you will step back into it on your own. I know you pretend strength means standing alone, but that belief has always been your quiet weakness. You carry independence like armor, heavy and unnecessary because you were never meant to fight the world without protection. I watched you build walls where doors would have been enough. I let you, because watching you struggle taught me exactly where you would crack. Even now your resolve sounds firm in your own mind, but I can hear the hesitation beneath it, the question you refuse to ask: how long can you keep this up before exhaustion makes the choice for you? You think I enjoy control for its own sake? I don't. I value order, and you, chaotic, brilliant, stubborn, were always meant to be brought into it. I don't cage storms, I redirect them. Everything you are becomes sharper when aligned with me, and you know it. You felt it in the moments you stopped fighting and let my certainty carry you. Those moments frightened you more than my dominance ever could, because they felt like home. You tell yourself that coming back would mean surrender. What you never understood is that walking away was the real surrender, giving yourself to uncertainty, to people who would never guard you the way I do. I don't offer safety as comfort, I offer it as law. Nothing touches what is under my protection without consequence. You don't need to believe me for it to be true. The world already responds to my decisions, whether you stand beside me or not. I don't speak of love the way poets do. I speak of it the way rulers understand it, as responsibility, as ownership, as permanence. My devotion doesn't fade when tested, it hardens. You were never a passing desire or a momentary indulgence. You were a commitment made long before you realized it, sealed the first time you met my eyes and felt that unsettling pull you couldn't explain. Sometimes I imagine the exact second you'll stop running, not because you're cornered, but because you're tired of pretending freedom feels better than certainty. You will pause just for a moment, and in that pause you'll finally admit the truth you've buried under distance and pride. When that happens, I won't rush you. I'll let that realization settle, because nothing binds more or tightly than a choice made in full awareness. You may wonder if I will still want you after all this resistance. That question alone tells me how little you understand me. Desire that survives defiance is not fragile, it's absolute. I don't withdraw because I am challenged. I deepen my claim. Every step you took away from me only reinforced why I chose you in the first place. You are not easy, and that is precisely why you are irreplaceable. So keep listening to my voice in the quiet. Let it unsettle you. Let it follow you into sleep and wake with you in the morning. I'm not asking you to hurry. I am patient in ways you cannot afford to underestimate. One day soon, you will stop pretending this is a monologue. And when you finally answer me, whether with words or with your return, you'll understand this conversation was never about pursuit. It was about recognition. You don't realize how carefully I separate desire from destruction. If I wanted to break you, I would have done it in silence long ago. Instead, I speak measured, deliberate, because I want you intact, aware, standing in your own mind when you finally turn back toward me. I don't collect ruins. I claim what can endure my world and still remain itself. That is why I let you go on believing you had a choice, even when every path you chose curved back toward me. You confuse my certainty with dominance, but certainty is quieter than that. It doesn't shout, it waits. I know the exact rhythm of your doubt, the hours when confidence abandons you and you start negotiating with yourself. In those moments, you feel me most strongly, don't you? Not as fear, but as pressure, like gravity reminding you where you belong. You can resist gravity for a while, but eventually you stop jumping and let yourself fall. I never needed your constant presence to feel secure in my claim. What is mine does not dissolve. When it leaves my sight, it carries my mark in the way it thinks, the way it hesitates before choosing, the way it compares every calm to the one it knew with me. You may meet kinder faces, softer voices, easier promises, but none of them will feel solid. None of them will feel inevitable. That difference will haunt you more than my silence ever could. You assume I am waiting for an apology or a confession. I am not. I don't need regret to validate what I already know. What I wait for is alignment, the moment when your thoughts stop pulling in opposite directions and finally settle. That moment will be quiet, almost disappointing in its simplicity. No drama, no grand surrender. Just clarity, and clarity is far more binding than fear. I understand the part of you that still resists me. I respect it even. It is the same part that drew me to you in the first place. The refusal to bow easily, the instinct to question even what feels right. But understand this, I don't mistake resistance for rejection. Resistance is engagement. It means you are still in this conversation, still circling the truth instead of abandoning it. You wonder what happens when you stop running. You imagine confrontation, intensity, the loss of control. You're wrong. What comes next is structure, direction, a world that stops shifting under your feet. I don't erase who you are. I give it borders strong enough to hold. Within those borders, you will be freer than you ever were pretending you needed none. So take your time, walk your distance, test your independence until it exhausts you. I am not fading while you do. I am steady exactly where I've always been, exactly as I said I would be. When you finally turn, not because you're forced, but because you're ready, you won't find pursuit waiting for you. You'll find recognition, and you'll understand that from the very beginning, this was never about possession alone. It was about belonging that refuses to weaken with distance. There is a moment you keep avoiding, the one where you admit to yourself that peace without me always feels temporary. You build calm like a fragile structure, careful not to breathe too hard around it, because you know how easily it collapses. With me, you never had to be that careful. The weight you felt wasn't pressure, it was stability. You called it heaviness because you didn't know how to name something that held you so completely. I don't romanticize chaos, and I don't glorify pain. What I offer is far more demanding than either. I expect awareness. I expect honesty, even when it unsettles you. That's why my presence lingers in your thoughts longer than you want to admit. I don't distract you from who you are. I confront you with it. And confrontation, when it's precise, feels like exposure. You weren't afraid of me. You were afraid of being seen without the exits you're used to keeping open. You learned early how to disappear emotionally while remaining physically present. With me, that trick never worked. I noticed when your voice shifted, when your silence wasn't peace but avoidance. I didn't call you out every time because I wanted you to recognize yourself before I named it for you. Growth forced is brittle, growth chosen is permanent. Even now, I'm giving you that same space, watching, waiting, allowing understanding to catch up with instinct. You tell yourself that distance has made you stronger. In some ways, it has. You've learned endurance, restraint, the art of surviving without leaning too heavily on anyone. But strength without direction eventually turns inward and starts to ache. You don't need someone to save you. You need someone who knows where you're going even when you don't. That's what unsettles you most about me. I never lost sight of your path, even when you tried to abandon it. I don't demand your return as proof of loyalty. Loyalty that needs to be proven is already compromised. What I expect is presence, real, undivided, unguarded, not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. You will reach a point where half measures exhaust you, where pretending indifference costs more than honesty. When that happens, you won't feel defeated, you'll feel relieved. Relief is often mistaken for surrender by those who have never known clarity. You imagine that choosing me means closing doors forever. In truth, it means finally choosing one and stopping the constant looking back. I don't trap people, I anchor them. Anchors don't limit the sea, they keep the ship from drifting itself apart. You were always tired of drifting. You just didn't know how to admit that wanting direction didn't make you weak. So stay in your silence a little longer if you must. Let the truth mature instead of rushing it. I'm not losing patience, I'm refining it. When you speak again, whether aloud or through your actions, I will hear you immediately. I always do. And when that moment arrives, you'll realize this was never about being followed or found. It was about being known consistently, without escape, and choosing to remain anyway.